Hey there! Today, we're diving into a pretty wild idea. What if that little critical voice in your head, the one you're always trying to shut up, isn't a flaw at all? What if it's actually a sign of a brilliant mind? Let's get into it.
So let's start with a question. And be honest, I'm willing to bet most of us can answer with a big, loud yes. Do you ever feel like you've got this running commentary in your head, just analyzing, judging, and pointing out every single potential mistake you could ever make?
Yeah, that's the voice, the one that replays a conversation you had hours ago, makes you second-guess a decision, or pushes you to do just one more revision on that project. And let's be real, living with that kind of internal pressure day in and day out, it's absolutely draining. You know, this experience is so universal, it actually has a name, the inner critic. And for most people, it's just a source of anxiety and self-doubt. It's this constant, uncomfortable struggle that we're always told we need to somehow overcome or silence for good. But here's the twist. What if we've been looking at this all wrong? The common view, right, is that the critic is just a bug in our system, a nagging flaw. But what if? What if it's not a bug, but a feature? A potential sign of high intelligence and deep self-awareness? And that is the heart of what we're exploring today. We're going to dig into this surprising link between that relentless inner critic and, well, high cognitive ability. The idea is to reframe it as something to be understood, not just something you have to put up with. It turns out there's some real psychological research that suggests there are specific traits, ones that often look like bad habits, that actually point to this connection. So let's break down 7 hidden signs that your inner critic might actually be proof of a brilliant mind hard at work. All right, let's walk through them one by one, and you'll see how they start to paint a completely different and, frankly, much more interesting picture of self-criticism. First up, perfectionism. Now, we usually think of this as a negative thing, right? Like it's just a fear of making mistakes. But if you look at it from another angle, it's really about having the mental capacity to envision a much, much higher standard and then having the drive to actually try and reach it. And this quote just nails it. The critique isn't just your brain saying, hey, this isn't good enough. It's your mind processing all the possibilities and saying, hold on, I can see a clear path to something even better. That ability to see potential, that is a hallmark of high-level thinking.
Next up, the one we all know and love, imposter syndrome. That nagging feeling that you're going to be found out, that you don't really deserve any of your accomplishments. It's incredibly common, especially among people who achieve a lot.
So, here's the crucial insight. This feeling might actually come from a highly accurate self-assessment. An intelligent mind has a better grasp of just how vast a subject is, which means you're super aware of the gaps in your own knowledge. It's not about being a fraud, it's about intellectual humility. The other signs kind of follow this same pattern, and they each tell a piece of the story. A brilliant mind is constantly doing intense self-reflection, not just to find fault, but to really understand itself. It often comes with a strong moral compass, always weighing the ethics of a situation. This leads to a hunger for deeper knowledge, because surface-level answers just won't cut it. It also leads to what we call overthinking, but what's really just deep, multi-layered analysis. And finally, deep empathy, the ability to really process and feel what others are feeling, which takes a ton of cognitive and emotional power. Okay, so seeing the critic as a sign of intelligence is a huge first step. It's powerful. But the real question is, how do we actually use this insight? So let's look at a practical way to turn that critical voice from a heckler into a productive partner. Here's a super simple 3-step framework. First, just acknowledge the voice. Don't fight it, don't argue, just notice it's there. Step 2, ask yourself, what high standard is this voice pushing me toward? Is it excellence? Is it clarity? Integrity? And finally, step 3, reframe that critique. It's not a personal attack, it's data. It's valuable information you can use to improve, adjust, and make your next move. When you start doing this, you fundamentally change your relationship with that inner voice. It goes from being something you fight against to something you work with, like an internal ally who's dedicated to helping you reach your absolute highest potential. And this, right here, is the ultimate takeaway. Your inner critic isn't a malfunction. It's the hum of a high-performance engine. The key isn't to shut it off, but to learn how to steer it. It's an incredibly powerful cognitive tool, and like any tool, its value depends entirely on how you decide to use it. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. If you start seeing your harshest critic not as an enemy, but as your sharpest, most intelligent advisor, what becomes possible? What could you create with that kind of insight on your side? Thanks for tuning in.